Hello, Dan. All right, maybe now I got you.
Yeah. So I now call the Ripon City Council closed session to order. Lisa, do we have any public comments? Do we?
Not.
We do not. Okay. So with that, we will go ahead and move into closed session. Oh, Tom, do you want to read out for closed session?
Yes, thank you. I just was able to reestablish my connection. So
No, he was there.
Yeah, he was there. I just saw him.
I'm here.
So, Tom, are you on mute?
I muted, sorry.
Oh,
He's good.
I'm good now.
yeah.
Okay, thank you, everybody. For the benefit of the public and the council did meet in closed session regarding several pending items, none of which required immediate action or final direction from the city staff. And the council was heard those reports, and no further reportable action was taken with respect to those items.
Excellent. Thank you. So, Councilman Zuber, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure can. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will you please stay standing? Mr. Brandon?
Bow our heads. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for the goodness that you've shown to us. We thank you for the blessings that we have as a city, as a community, and we thank you for the work that will be done here tonight. May you bless the decisions, the deliberations, and the actions that are taken. And we thank you for all that happens here. In your name we pray.
Amen. Thank you. Ms. Rose, roll call, please.
Councilmember Leo Zuber,
Present.
Mike Verstuccia,
Present.
Dean Euchre,
Here.
Vice Mayor Daniel DeGraff,
Here.
Mayor Jake Parks.
Present. We will now open it up to public discussion. Do we have any comments from the public?
We do not. I'm just double
Okay.
checking. We do not.
All right, thank you. And with that, we will go ahead and close the public comments section for today's council meeting. We will now move on to the approval of the minutes.
I'll move to approve.
Okay, so we have a mover and a
My computer's not on.
so.
Do I need to click something or am I waiting?
Jake.
So
needs
you're
to click
waiting,
it.
so. Is it not working?
I just pulled it up for him. No, mine works. I'm just trying to get him started. You want to just do a voice so we can go on?
I don't have a thing.
Is yours not working either?
Well, everything's working. You don't have us up to vote.
I know, I'm waiting for it to,
Oh.
is he good? He's good. Okay, all right. So
What do I
for
click?
the Approval of the minutes, we'll just do a voice vote. So we have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Okay.
So we will now move on to the agenda as posted or amended. Mr. Peace. You're up.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to request that the council add an emergency item, a resolution that authorizes the city staff to award a public works contract to address an emergency situation.
Thank you, Mr. Peace. That item will be moved to item 3B, I believe.
Well, I'll make a motion that,
Do we need to?
We don't need to. So what we're going to do is we're going to do them all together. So we don't need to do a separate vote for Mr.
don't
Peace.
we have to make a motion to put it on the agenda? Yeah, so,
It has to have like 4/5 or something.
yeah.
Wait.
So I'll move that we put it on the agenda.
Wait, no, hold on one second.
You can also make the other amendments to the agenda and then approve those all together as long as it passes by a 4/5 vote.
But don't we have to, don't we? have
Not
to vote
necessarily.
to Put an emergency item on the agenda to vote on?
Wait, Tom?
Yeah, you're adding an item to the agenda based on urgency circumstances, the emergencies that Mr. P's outlined. And I would recommend that you do that first and add it to the agenda by a vote of 4/5 or better of the city council, and then take other actions to amend the agenda as you need to.
Right.
Okay, that
I
works.
motion, Dan second.
So we've got a motion, we've got a second, and then we need to do an individual vote for this?
Is the system not working for voting now?
Now that we
It's
know how
not
to use
popping
it.
up on mine. It's not giving me the option to vote. to initiate the vote?
Well, this one will just be a voice note.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. So we'll just do it individually. We'll do an individual voice vote.
Yes.
Okay,
Voice is good.
so, all right.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
So what number are you putting it as?
3B.
3B.
Yep. So, and just for the record, it will not be appearing on the computer, but it will be appearing on the screen and it will be appearing on the monitors. Okay. So with that, we will now move on to the agenda. Does anybody have anything that they want to pull?
I do.
Okay, Councilman Zuber, what would you like to pull?
I decided to occupy a little time tonight. I have a list. 1.1A, 1.2A, 1.2B, 1.4A, 1.4E, and 1.4H.
AEH?
AEH.
AEH. Okay.
I'll take the rest of the alphabet.
Okay. Councilmember Susha?
I also want 1.1A, which is done, 1.2E.
Okay.
And I'm not going to pull this, but I just want to make a comment about 1.4B, C, D, and E, since they're not going to come up again. And I just want to thank the people that donated the various different things to the community. But I'd also like to make it clear on 1.4C, that the dog donation was by Mike and Janine Fisher, and that was not listed on the agenda. It's in the documents, but I just want the public to know that's who, in fact, made that donation.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we have half the items pulled. So, all right, so do we have approval of the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so there we go. Now it's working for him. Now it's working.
Wow.
Okay,
Mayor figured it out.
he did. Eventually, he got the technology to work for him.
It's almost taken him a year, but
Hey, hey, that's fine. Better late than never. 9 months, a year.
You're slow.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, do we have approval of the consent calendar as amended? We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and. All right, what's going on here? I keep clicking it.
I don't have anything.
I keep clicking it. All right, there we go. I know. Yeah, it's all these technology failures. So what we will do is in what? User error. It's always user error. All right. So unless there is something that jumps out at everybody that we need to have a separate vote on it, what we'll do is we'll try and take all these together. So, all right, so we'll move on to item 1.1A. Councilman Zuber?
I just had a comment, not, well, when you read the background, some of the numbers, I'm not going to say don't add up, but they don't add up because it shows that we're down $340,000 in income, and yet the net that we're down is only $200,000. And I know that Lisa and Kevin have an explanation, that we're going to get it, but I think it's important that we somehow make some of that available to the public, because it's going to get worse before it gets better as far as how much money we have. And when it's confusing people, when the numbers change and they don't make, I mean, they make sense if you dig deep enough and go far enough into the weeds, but John Q. Public can't do that. And so I think we need to figure out a way to make it a little clearer.
Yeah.
That's all.
Can I make a comment since we're on that already? So I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things that I noticed, and I know these percentages aren't exactly right because of what Councilman Zuber said, but just so the public knows, our state of California sales tax is down 32%. and the SB1 is down 15%. And the only reason I wanted to bring that up is because I hear that, counties and cities haven't been affected by coronavirus. They're still getting their property taxes and everything else. Well, the reality is we're in a crunch like any other city, county, or business, that our revenues are down as well. And I just think that's important for people to know. Nothing that we've done, it's just what's happening.
Just the current environment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all I had to say on that.
Okay, so are we good on that one?
Sure. 1.2A.
All right, 1.2A.
In reading the backup material for this grant, it says it's for a safe route to school project, but it doesn't say where it is. Do we know what's involved with this?
Yeah, so this project that we're submitting this grant on, it's for improvements on Second Street. It includes bike lane striping, bulb outs at existing crosswalks to shorten the distance of those crossings, and they also serve as traffic calming measures. And then the other part of it is some additional bike lane striping on Ripon Avenue and on Acacia Avenue. And those other two, they just close links that we currently don't have striping in our system right now. And the consultant thought it would make our application stronger.
So Ripon Elementary and Ripona are going to be the beneficiaries of all this.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. 1.2B. When there's something on here almost every month for Stockton Avenue rehabilitation. All these little things, I mean, they're little, but they're $2,000 here, $5,000 there, $6,000 there. Where's the money coming from to pay for all these consultants and pre-work work that's going on?
So that's coming from the Street and Road Operating Fund.
So the grant money that we have for this project, it's basically going to be used for the actual construction.
That's
not
right.
For all this preparation work.
That's right. The city's share would cover the design, the environmental, and the construction management. So that would be the city responsibility, and the grants would pay for construction.
Do we have a rough idea of when this thing is actually going to happen?
Right now, we're waiting on Caltrans. With the grant funding, they have to give us the notice to proceed with that. We were hoping to get that in August. Obviously, that didn't happen. So we're continuing to follow up with Caltrans and trying to get that. But the project is essentially ready to go out to bid.
They just have to say, okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's all.
Okay, 1.2E.
1.4A.
I thought somebody said 1.
Yeah, Mike,
Wait, am I? Oh,
Mike had 1.3.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you said 1.4A.
yeah. No, we're
Well,
not
I
at
think what he
1.4
said
yet.
was B, C, D, and E was he took all those
Yeah, just for a
donations
comment.
together.
Yeah. But right now we're still on 1.2.
Right.
Yeah. So we're at 1.2E.
I didn't ask for that one.
So no, Mike did.
Oh,
1.2E.
That's Bank of Stockton, Mike.
you counted
Okay.
retirement account.
Yeah, okay, so the reason I pulled 1.2E is because my firm audits Bank of Stockton, and we get a paycheck, and I just don't want it to appear like a conflict. So I'm going to abstain on that
Okay.
when we vote.
So is that something that you can be in room for? I apologize, I forget. Or is that what you have to exit for?
I don't think I
We're
know.
not going to discuss it, so I don't think he
I
has
don't
to
think
leave.
I-
It's just that he will have to.
He
vote
just
on
can't
that.
vote on that.
We have 4.
Well, and it's a contract that's already in
Right.
place. This is based on the contract. I just don't want to vote
Yeah.
on. I want to abstain. I leave the room when the contract gets approved.
Right.
This is just a payment
This
on an
is-
existing contract.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, you want to vote on this one right now?
Yeah, let's go ahead and take this one right now. So
I'll move to approve 1.2E.
we have a mover and we have a second. All right.
And
Okay. All right. And perfect.
don't you have to take a vote?
All right. Now do 1.4A.
1.4A, the staff report mentions that part of this project became the replacement of some
they call them the smart stud
There we
system,
go.
but it's the in-road blinking lights.
And we've replaced those with flashing beacons. Where? It didn't say where they were.
Oh, they were at, on California, near the entrance of Ripon Elementary, on Stockton Avenue near Oregon. There's a uncontrolled crosswalk there. At Oregon and Avenue A, I believe there's 2 locations there. And then at the entrance at Ripon Elementary off of Oregon.
Okay,
So
so
the-
it's
the
all
beat-
around Ripona.
Yeah, and the beacons
Okay.
are the ones that are pole mounted now.
Right, okay, all right.
Okay, so moving on to 1.4E.
My question with that one is the money, in reading the staff report, it mentioned all of the things that would have to happen overtime and a few other things. My question is, the donation is going to cover what? And what other costs are going to be associated with this that the city's going to be responsible for? Or is it all covered by the donation?
Donations going to cover bringing the trainers here and the rental of the facility they're using to do the training. The city responsibility would be the overtime for the officers to attend the training.
Okay. I don't have a problem with it. I just wanted clarification.
Don't we do this doesn't Rick donate like every couple of years to do this or something?
Yes, usually he makes one, Rick and his wife make one donation, usually a year, sometimes 2. It depends on when the training becomes available, but because of COVID, it's only going to be one time this year so far.
So moving on to 14H.
I want to make sure I understand this. As I read that contract, we're paying $86,000 for planning and oversight for this project. There's going to be another contract, and I have a feeling I know what the emergency thing is tonight, for the actual work that's going to be done to fix that problem, correct?
That's correct. If you look in that Siegfried agreement, Exhibit A, $30,000 of this is permitting. There's some permitting that we're going to have to do after the fact. So that is a big part of that, and that's kind of an unknown at this point. So that number was a plug. Obviously, the 86,500 is a not to exceed amount. If we see that we're going up to that amount, we'd obviously come back to council. But it could be under that. This is just
Okay,
it is. But you're correct.
all right, thank you. And with that, I'll move that we approve the 6 that I pulled.
Second.
So we've got 11A, 12A, 12B, 14A, 14E, 14H.
Yep.
All right. We've got a motion and we've got a second. Okay. And with that, that is the end of the consent calendar. We will now move on to public hearings. So item 2A, vacation and abandonment of public right-of-way adjacent to 1002 and 1022 Frontage Road.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, fellow council members. This is the final step in the right-of-way abandonment for this roadway segment. If you've been in Ripon a while, you might know where this road is. It's kind of an old dirt road that went behind Ripon Farm Service and actually cut through the middle of the Jimco truck stop site. So they're doing some site improvements there, putting a new truck wash in, tearing the old one down, putting new pumps in for diesel pumps, actually doing some improvements so that site will look a lot better. They need to run a lot of their utilities through this area. So they applied for an abandonment of that right away there. And this is the final step. We have to do a public hearing for it and then adopt a resolution. So be happy to answer any questions.
I have none.
And it's already gone to the planning, right? I think
Yes,
it's
it's
on
gone
the
through the-
planning
yeah.
commission. Yeah, so
Okay.
they did all the analysis, so.
All right, perfect. Seeing that, as this is a public hearing, Lisa, do we have any comments from the public concerning this matter?
There are no comments from the public.
We will go ahead and close the public comment section for item 2A, and we will put it back over to the council. How would the council like to proceed with this item?
I move that we adopt the resolution.
Second.
We have got a motion and we've got a second. Starting to feel like an auctioneer.
Look how dusty it is outside.
Charge them some money.
I know, seriously. All right, so moving on to item 3A, grand jury report, homelessness in San Joaquin County.
I could start this item, Mr. Mayor, and then Chief Ramondi could provide some additional background. And I think Tom Turkstra is going to talk about the city's response. Just the process that was set up a few years ago with the city council. The council has an opportunity tonight to review that grand jury report and provide direction from staff of how you would like us to address that report. What we would do is take those comments we received from the city council and bring that back at the October city council meeting for the city council's approval of those. And then we would forward those on to the grand jury. So that's the process we have in place. So tonight is really just receiving the comments from city council of how to address the grand jury report. With that, I'll turn it over to Chief Ramondi and he can provide some additional background to this report.
Yes, Honorable City Council, if I just provide a little bit of information on what's contained within the grand jury report. The police department has partnered with the Ripon Ministerial Association and community donors for the last several years. In 2016, we received a large sum of money through one single donation. And at that point in time, we revamped our voucher program to expand into providing temporary shelter through temporary stays at some of our local hotels, increase our ability to provide transportation, and then add on to our food and gas vouchers to people in need or in emergency situations. It kind of goes back to 2016 when that voucher program was revamped. We had just a few homeless within our community that made their home on more of a temporary basis, as we would see them come and go depending on time of the year and weather. In 2018, we had an estimated 11 homeless people in our community at various times. In 2019, there was a time and place count for the population of San Joaquin. At that point in time, we had 7 homeless persons within our community. And estimated in 2020, that number still remains about 7. Over the last 2.5 years, we've been able to assist and help the homeless and transient populations that we come in contact with. We do that on a couple different ways. First, we inquire if they need temporary or will accept temporary assistance through our voucher program and try to place them with either city or county aid that's already in place, directing them to social services that may be able to help them out of their current situation. We also provide them with information on our city ordinances, especially pertaining to panhandling, begging, urinating, defecating in public, illegal camping, and so forth. So everybody's playing on the same page. So there's no surprises on what actions may be or may not be legal. At that point, again, in the last 2.5 years, we've given out 90 vouchers to people in need in our community. 29 of those were for temporary shelter. Usually that's for one night, but can be up to 2 to 3 nights depending on situations. We've also issued 4 for transportation needs. And then we've also given 69 food or gas vouchers to help people get to where their final destination is, or to provide them with those emergency sustenance to make sure that they have safe travel. Currently, again, we don't have any known homeless encampments in our community. Again, we do have temporary homeless that come within our community and stay for weeks or months at a time, and then they traverse to other jurisdictions, and then they all come back at a later time based on their travels. Right now, that's kind of where we're at pertaining to what we do within our community. We also have tried to work with county behavioral health for those that need assistance with mental instability or are having mental episodes that we could provide them help through that county agency. And we've also tried to work with our district attorney, and we've been able to do so on at least 5 separate occasions where they were able to get persons that were committing criminal acts within our community, either into drug or alcohol treatment programs, or if they refuse, and get them into the criminal justice system to where they can receive some additional assistance that we are not able to provide at our level. And with that, I would be happy to answer any further questions.
Does anybody from the council have any questions?
Pretty clear.
Okay, so
And
You
if I may, members of the council, the findings and recommendations are outlined in the staff report, and the city's proposed response is set out in the staff report in italics. Happy to walk through that, but you've obviously had a chance to look at it, I'm sure, prior to tonight's meeting as well. We're just recommending that you give us some direction in terms of coming back in October with a formal response along these lines, not necessarily verbatim, but along these lines.
okay. Anybody on the council have any comments?
Well, the only comment I would make is I read your responses to the report, and I read the report that this needs addressed, and you addressed what they needed to be addressed. It looked pretty simple to do. It's not like we got some big complicated things to take care of. So I'm okay with the responses.
Yep. Okay, so do we have a motion on the floor?
I'll make a motion. Would you need a motion to approve this?
Yeah, there's no formal action required.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, I was looking at the wrong.
Okay,
board.
our informal action then is to
Yep,
proceed.
so, okay. So Kevin, have you received the direction you need?
I'll get it.
Okay, perfect. So with that, we will go ahead and move on to item 3B, Mr. Peace. This is the resolution for the City Council of the City of Ripon authorizing the award of a public works contract to address emergency conditions.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Honorable City Council. This item is directly related to 1.4H. So that staff report is kind of related here. But roughly 3 weeks ago, a public works staff noticed that one of our outfall structures had been undermined, severely undermined. And our outfall structures, we have 8 of them around town. They basically are conveying our stormwater throughout the city, and they discharge into the river. This one in particular is adjacent to the, basically in between our sewer ponds and a Jack Tone Road golf course. Our staff had noticed that it was undermined, and it actually had collapsed down. Probably a 6 to 8 foot drop. I believe Dan does have a video that he can kind of show to give you guys a little better visual. I'll kind of keep talking as we go. But this is obviously, it's a major concern. You know, no action or any delayed action would potentially cause more harm to our infrastructure, our stormwater pipeline there. And then also the levee, it's really hard to see in that video, and really even pictures don't do it justice. You kind of have to be out there, kind of how close this is to the actual levee, and how much of a cavity and a crater that this has caused just by the undermining that's taken place thus far. So our biggest hurdle right now, obviously we're facing time and the river water level. Right now, the water level is at about 200 cubic feet per second, which is a really low level. It's a perfect time to go in there and do some work. You could do any work along there without much, any issues. The problem with that is in the middle of October, we've been in contact with the Bureau of Reclamation. The New Maloney's Dam, they intend to release what they call pulse flows. Basically, it helps with the migration of salmon. And that 200 cubic feet per second flow would jump up to roughly 1,500 cubic feet per second flow. You really can't do any work at that level. It would actually put the water level just at about where our pipe is. So we'd really be facing some challenges. Along with that is if that water level does get up to that level, it's going to do a whole lot more damage to our pipe system and potentially the levee. So the resolution that you have in front of you, it basically allows the city to proceed with hiring a contractor on an emergency basis and on a forced account basis to deal with this emergency. The plan would be to get them mobilized as soon as possible in conjunction with Siegfried's design. They're planning on being out there this week to do their surveying And we're hoping to have a design in our contractor's hands, at least a preliminary design to get them mowed by the middle to end of next week.
So do we already have a contractor for this? Not Siegfried's, but somebody else?
We don't have a contract with them, but we have been in
No.
contact with a contractor.
Okay, so you've
who-
already
who
identified a
can perform this.
contractor who
Ye-
can do the project then?
Yeah, they feel
Okay.
confident that they have the resources, they have the manpower to get out there and take care of what needs to be done in a timeframe that we need done. So in the resolution, it does name AM Stevens. They've got plenty of work that they've done for reclamation districts. They're very familiar with this work. They've so yeah. And then all of this work that for both of these contracts, the one with Siegfried and AM Stevens would be paid for through our storm drain enterprise capital fund. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. I don't at this time. I know that the force account basis, basically, the contractor would proceed with about a 21% markup. So it's kind of, it's a lower risk, I would say, for the city. We basically get them out there, watch their work, and as soon as they're out there. So we're anticipating two weeks worth of work, but I don't have an idea of what that dollar amount is yet.
James, I got a question. Is this something that you guys inspect all the time, or we just kind of like, we got an employee that's just really observant and found it?
Yeah, it's something that the engineering department does go out and they'll regularly inspect it. But this one happened to be just one of our public works employees. It's very close to the bike path that goes behind the golf course there. We have a trash can back there. He was coming back and he'd noticed something toward the outfall, saw it and brought it to our attention. So.
I think that's great that he did that. I mean, some employees would just drive by and keep going, and thank him. I think that's very observant and good for him.
Yeah. James, you said it's going to take 2 weeks to do?
Well, in talking with the contractor and our engineering department, or the engineer that's on board, Siegfried, they're thinking 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
But they're really going to have to get in there and figure out what's really going on. There's some more undermining of the pipe. There's still a piece of pipe that's hanging there that's undermined, so they're going to have to tear that out a little bit more. But yeah, 2 to 3 weeks.
So tentatively 2 to 3 weeks, but it could be longer if they find more stuff. So
Yeah.
James, you're planning a temporary fix for now, and then they'll come back, you think, next season and do a permanent fix? Just curious what the, I guess, existing or, what's fallen apart outfall structure look like, and what replacing it with the same type of structure, or?
Well, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That is right. But what we're doing right now is basically a temporary structure to get us through the wet season. In talking with the engineer, we'll kind of see how that goes, and this may be more of a permanent structure where we don't need a head wall, or we don't need something a lot larger. But basically, this is a preventative maintenance type of activity just to prevent that further damage.
So there could be an item brought back next spring,
Right.
to do additional work.
Yes.
I'm gonna do a good enough job. I don't have to come back.
Well, and that's a part of it. Siegfried, they're very experienced in doing this type of work. And the idea would be, once we finish that work, if it looks good and it and the permitting agencies are okay with that, and we feel that it's holding up, then yeah, we may be able to just leave this structure in place and leave it at that. So.
And just monitor it, right?
perfect. Okay.
Well,
So
Move to
with
adopt
that,
the resolution.
Second.
yep. So we've got a motion and we've got a second.
And the motion, thank you. And the motion would need to be adopted by a 4/5 vote. And the motion is based on the emergency findings that Mr. Pease has outlined in his staff report.
That's what I heard Councilman
Heard that.
Zuber say.
That's what I said.
That
what he
is,
said.
that is exactly.
Were you on,
Verbatim.
were you not listening?
Tom,
Try to listen better next time.
good job.
It's
Tom.
that discounted rate we're paying for.
5-0, Tom.
Now you
All
go-
right,
go back to
perfect.
sleep.
And with
Okay,
that,
with
we
back
will
to
move
sleep.
on to staff reports. Chief, you're up. 'Cause you're
Yes, Mr.
way
Mayor,
there on the
honorable-
left side.
Mr. Mayor, Honorable City Council, I just have one item. Tomorrow at 1 p.m. in the department's Emergency Operations Center, we'll be swearing in our 23rd officer, Jonathan Rodriguez, who has some prior experience at another local agency, will be sworn in. So we are going to have a very limited audience. There'll be a couple of us family members and some of the PD family present, but it will not be open to the public. But if any council members that would like to attend,
Can we come with a mask?
yes, the
You're considered
council, if you'd like to
special.
attend with a mask, you are more than welcome to attend.
If Nancy Pelosi can get her haircut, Mike, you can come down here and see an officer sworn in.
Are there gonna be donuts?
I'm not sure, but I can arrange that. I can arrange that. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Peace.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, real quick, our August water consumption was down 15% from our 2013 August numbers. Our 12-month running average for water usage is 17.5% below what we were in 2013. And then the other thing I wanted to touch on, I know Councilmember Verstusta did touch on this, but the Lions Club and their donation at the community center, those trees are going to provide a screen at the south end of the community center park. It's kind of going to complete the park, and so the Public Works Department is grateful for their donation. And then also Tribute Tile and Stone, we reached out to them to get a price to actually do some work at the library, and they ended up actually just donating their work. So I just wanted to recognize both of them this evening. That was it.
Perfect. Thank you. Mr. Zeidevar.
Yes, a couple items. So next Monday, we do not have a planning commission meeting. We have moved it out 1 week on request of one of the applicants. It was the gas station at the corner of River Road and North Ripon that requested a special meeting. So we slid it out to the 21st. We have heard from the applicant that they might be withdrawing their application and resubmitting with a different site plan and different uses. So we're awaiting that. I will keep council posted if that does occur. But we do have another item that'll be in front of the commission on the 21st. So no meeting this coming up Monday. However, it'll be on the 21st at 6 o'clock. And then I did want to give council a kind of a quick update on our economic development goals. About 5 years ago now, we kind of sat down with the council, and I think the council, let's see here, if I can get this thing working here. We good? There we go. Oh,
Hey-o.
trigger happy here. So in kind of early 2015, City Council challenged staff to put together a comprehensive economic development strategy with the goal really of making Ripon more competitive with our surrounding communities in order to attract non-residential, what we call tax generating or job generating businesses to the city of Ripon. Well, not an overnight solution. Staff did put together the following economic development strategy. The council ultimately approved to improve Ripon's competitive position. We had a number of items we wanted to do, and they're listed here. I'll go through those a little bit more detail on the next slide, so I won't read through them now. Some of these that we have accomplished, and they're currently in play. Others we're still working on. One of them was the City of Ripon Development Fee Reduction Study. That was one of the major ones we went through in March of 2017, where we looked at all our non-residential development fees and really ended up with a reduction across the board for most of the non-residential fees in order to bring us in line with our surrounding communities. Again, if you remember, we weren't trying to be the low price leaders on the block, but we weren't trying to be the highest either. So we ended up with about a 10% reduction in commercial development fees. Office development fees, we were really high on those. We ended up with about a 19% reduction on those. Light industrial development, a 10% reduction on those. And then heavy industrial and warehouse actually went up a little bit. When we looked at industrial development as a whole, we split light industrial away from heavy industrial. So heavy industrial went up a little bit because of the uses. They have a lot of water use or sewer use, so those are taking a little bit bigger share of those fees. Basically, like I said, it put Ripon kind of in a very competitive position with other communities. That was really the goal of that plan there. Economic Development Incentive Program. As you recall, we did put together a program in May of 2017. We adopted it. It was an incentive program with the following goals in mind: increase municipal revenues to support city services, minimize sales tax leakage but by providing a broad cross-section and variety of retail uses. We do have a lot of people shopping out of town, although we haven't made huge strides in that. We have, it has helped a little bit here in getting some new businesses in town. So hopefully people are spending their money here locally. increase amenities that support quality of living environment, attract new regional development, and also support the initiation, development, and growth of new local businesses. So that one is in play as well. City of Ripon marketing videos. As you recall, CGI basically in 2015 came and did some videos. We updated them. I think it was 2018, might be off a little bit in time frame there. 2018, 2019, they were updated. Those are community showcase videos that are on the city's website that really showcase the community for residents, also for businesses, and just for visitors as well. In addition to that, City of Ripon, we have a City of Ripon marketing brochure that was just completed. I think I shared that with council several months back. Finally got that done. It's a comprehensive marketing brochure highlighting kind of Ripon's amenities and assets to attract businesses to Ripon. That's up on the city website. We are sharing those with commercial brokers and also the chamber, as well as pushing some of that out. The North Point specific plan, that was completed in June of 2015. If you guys recall, that whole area is kind of just a very comprehensive area with a mixed use feel for residential, but also trying to preserve and protect some of the commercial area out there and set it up for some nice commercial development in the future. We have had a little success out there. Obviously, residential is always coming first. So we do have like the Vineyards is completed now, 133 homes. We do have a couple other projects that are approved and are being marketed for sale at this point. And then hopefully we'll see some commercial starting to come once that population base gets in play. We do have a couple that are still in process. The City of Ripon Multimodal Station, as you recall, obviously the ACE train is looking to expand south. It keeps kind of getting pushed out a little bit. I think right now it's planned for 2022 is when the ACE train will be coming down to Modesto and Ceres. So we did purchase property over by the Nestle Water Tower and the recycling center for that station. We do have plans in place to get started on the design for the multimodal station, which will bring in commuters into town. Also helps out with kind of the downtown businesses and just kind of the businesses in whole around the whole community with that amenity here in town. Another one that we just started with the council on, I think this last year we shared a little bit with you. We are trying to set up a workshop with the stakeholders in the downtown area to get their input on it, if we can ever get out of this COVID stuff. It is the downtown circulation plan, or circulation study as it's called. It's kind of looking at a lot of the streets downtown that are deteriorating. First of all, improving those, but also bringing some of the amenities from Main Street down the side streets and the secondary, tertiary streets over there, to where we are looking at more pedestrian and bike-friendly atmosphere in those areas, hopefully spur on some economic development there. So that's in process. We are trying to set up the workshop here for later this month or first part of October. I think we're trying to meet outdoors at this point. Maybe meet, we've got a nice spot with the Veterans Park, which is right smack dab in the middle of the downtown, and everybody can see the deteriorated streets there as we're talking about them. So that might be a great spot to do it. Obviously, we'll keep council posted on when that workshop might be. We're thinking like a 4 o'clock time frame on midweek day, so maybe some of the business owners can attend. Just looking to get some input from the stakeholders down there that we can bring back to council, so you guys can see what you might want to implement into the plan. And then some of the ongoing stuff here is networking and partnering. Basically, we continue to network and partner with other groups and agencies to expand our economic development reach and expertise. We continue to network with commercial brokers to explore commercial development opportunities. A lot of the brokers that are out there, they are the ones that know the properties that are available. They're the ones that know the businesses that are seeking to come. It's just a matter of providing information to them and having those contacts and reaching out to them and kind of having a relationship with them. So when they need information, we can provide it, or we can also help through the process here. So that's been a continual ongoing process. It's been working out very well. We also partner with the San Joaquin County's Economic Development Association. A lot of businesses that come in, especially if they're bringing a lot of employees, there's a lot of incentive programs that the county offers for bringing in employee bases. that we'd like to bring them in. They have a lot of information for programs that we're not necessarily super aware of on these, but they have the expertise there. It's just nice to have them, to bring them into some of these meetings as options. Mike, I think you and Daniel with Ed Wankett, he's the one that we typically work with. He's a wealth of knowledge, and it's very helpful in that sense. And then also just working closely with the chamber. They've been doing, it's 2 years now, I think. We've been doing Economic Development Committee meetings once a month. It's a good time just to share community things going on with the community, different projects, maybe just some things that we can improve on. Also just a great time to, like I said, network with each other, and really educational, I think, and just trying to also educate folks of how kind of city things work sometimes is helpful as well. So that's kind of where we're at through the process here. There's a lot of stuff that's still just ongoing that we continue to work on. This last page here, I won't go through them all, but there is a whole list of what we call success stories since 2015. There's a whole list of projects here that have come to Ripon. Maybe not fully because of the economic development goals and strategies that we've put into place, but those have certainly helped, along with a strong economy. So there's a list here. There's many other businesses that are not on the list that have done some expansions in town as well. So that's something else to note. And we do have several other projects in the queue that as soon as we get applications for those, we'll be happy to share those with council as we work through those as well. So that's it in a nutshell. And if you guys would like copies of this PowerPoint at all, I would be happy to share that with you guys so you can have it for your information.
Can you email that?
Yeah, definitely can email it.
Can I make a comment?
Go for it.
So Ken, you guys have been very busy, and I appreciate that. I mean, sometimes it seems like, what's going on, and not from our standpoint, but the public comes and goes to work and kind of runs around and thinks everything's kind of stable and standard and nothing's happening. But you guys, along with Kelly at the chamber, have really put a lot of work into trying to make this town much, much better. And I think you really have, and it may not all be visible, but when you take a look at what you guys have done, I think, a really, really good and respectable job. So I'm glad you put this out, so when the public hears about it and sees it, they'll know, we're working on things. It's just things don't happen overnight,
Yeah, and sometimes they need to be reminded too. So when even if it's just updating things and refreshing it, it's continually just putting it out there in people's mind that, yeah, we are working to try to help continue development, and that we haven't necessarily dropped the ball or stopped, our efforts, even with COVID, because it's very easy for people to just go up. We're not going to do anything right now. And so that way you can still get out there, and yeah, it may be tough, but you still got to get out there and try. So thank you guys for that. Yeah. Mr. Warner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One more presentation, I think.
What is this about?
I just wanted to provide the council with a quick update on the general fund, the financial performance so far through the fiscal year. Obviously, back in July, the council adopted a budget with the understanding that we're going to treat that as an interim budget. These were times that we didn't have any data for, and very difficult to make certain projections with the COVID pandemic. So the thought was, let's approve a budget in July, but I had the direction from council to update that towards the end of the calendar year. And we're going to work on that, and we're still on track to do that. But tonight, what I wanted to do is just kind of give you a snapshot of where we're at. Normally, I don't do this early on, but just because of some of the COVID and the financial questions, I wanted to make sure that I at least updated you on where we're at through August. So on this graph, you see this is a similar graph that I've shown in the past. The green and red are green is the revenue for the month of this current fiscal year, and red is expenses. The light blue line, that top line, is the year-to-date balance of the general fund. It doesn't include any reserves or anything like that. It's just the operating year-to-date general fund balance. The dashed line below that is what I budgeted and projected when we approved that in July. And then that solid blue line that only shows up in July and August is where our balance is at to date. So you can see that we started off really well in July, August, as we talked about with the sales tax revenue. We're starting to see signs of the COVID revenue reduction. And what we saw in August and what you see in the agenda is the first month that we've actually seen that revenue related to sales tax. To date, we've been seeing the reductions largely in our recreation program, our facility rentals, and our lease rentals. You know, that revenue has been severely reduced and has been since the start of COVID back in March. But this is the first time we've seen the sales tax reductions. And it's not just that simple, that it's just COVID. There's other things that I just wanted to briefly talk about. We've been keeping a very close eye on the sales tax reduction, especially now that we're starting to see COVID, but there are a couple other things that are impacting that. One is the city was notified that all cities in San Joaquin County had received too much sales tax in the past. Our portion of that is about $280,000. This is from a Costco store down south. We were receiving the revenue, and now the state has notified us that they are going to take back that revenue. So in August was the first month that we saw a reduction in sales tax revenue for the quarter. It's about $46,000, and we're going to see that likely the next 6 quarters until we get to the $280,000 that was previously given to Ripon that they're now taking back.
So the states doesn't make mistakes at all.
Right. Talking about mistakes, the other mistake was on the other side. In our last sales tax distribution, they did not apply this one in August, they did not apply $84,000 from the Love's truck stop. They realized that mistake as well, and that we will get that sales tax revenue next month or next quarter, but upcoming. They're aware of that, and they are going to make that adjustment here in the next future.
So we have a one-time bump of $85,000 and an ongoing gain of $46,000.
$46,000 a quarter, and
Until
that will
it's
end
gone.
in June of 21. Lisa and I took a close look at just the impact of sales tax, and at least comparing second quarter of this year to second quarter last year. What it looks like right now is the sales tax reduction related to COVID is about $110,000 for the quarter.
Wow.
So hopefully this is worst case scenario because this does include the months of April, May, and June. So hopefully it's worst case scenario, but we'll continue to watch that very closely.
Can I ask you a question back up for a minute? So they made a mistake one way, they made a mistake another way. How do we know when they're making mistakes and when they don't? Do we have anything to audit to? Or we just got to take their word for it? If they would decide they don't want to give us money, they send it someplace else. Sorry, we overpaid you. And I mean, how do we know?
Yeah, right now there's a lot of comparison to back numbers. The other thing that we're doing is we have an ability to look at every business and what we're getting as sales tax. So there are flags that go up through that process that we flag and we raise to the county. So we have an ability, I don't want to say an official audit, but we do flag different accounts that look like they may be off.
So we don't flag it if we get too much, but we can flag it if we don't get enough.
We do flag it when we get too much.
Yeah, then they'll come back like this and say,
So
hey,
this is, so it's
by
not
the
a
way.
surprise and we got that 280.
No, that one was a surprise. We did not see that.
I just want to make sure that they don't start manipulating stuff around because they want to, and there's no way for us to catch it.
Right. But Lisa and her staff have been great about being very.
I suspect that to be true.
Keeping very much up on the sales tax revenue. The other thing I would note, and as we look at these numbers, Lisa keeps reminding me when she closed this out last Friday, she says it's only September 4th, and she was already closing out the month of August. So that was great to do that. But the reason we did that is just to give council this type of update. Really quick on expenses, we haven't seen an increase in expenses because of COVID. Employees are still coming to work. We're still doing what we need to do to serve the community. Obviously, it's had different strains at different times between police department and public works largely, and with admin staff too, of trying to figure out how to do business during COVID. But essentially we're here to serve the public, and we've continued to do that during the pandemic. And again, my plan is to continue to project, watch these numbers very closely, provide council an updated budget as we get closer to the end of the year. The one thing I just wanted to show in real numbers also is just some of the fluctuations that we see. And a lot of this is based off of just the time when we receive money or we receive expenses. And this is normally why I don't like to show it this early, because there's a lot of ups and downs that happen. But you can see in July with revenue, the difference between last fiscal year and this fiscal year was about $500,000 on the positive side. And then the next month, you saw a reduction of about $700,000 on the negative side. So overall, through the first 2 months of the fiscal year, revenue is down about $180,000 compared to where we were last fiscal year. As far as expenses, again, you see some of the large fluctuations between the months. Again, a lot of that is just timing of when those actually hit our books. The bottom line, through August, our expenses are actually about $50,000 lower than where we were the previous year, which is really a credit to the staff here, really keeping a close eye, because there's a lot we don't have control on that have increased, whether it's healthcare, cost of fuel, electricity, et cetera. We don't have control over that, but we're still showing a reduction in expenses. So year-to-date balance, we're about $140,000 off of where we were last fiscal year. We're still above where the projections are when I did the budget, but that really can change. I was just starting to plug some of the numbers in the budget, and as we go further into COVID, there could be some pretty substantial changes to what we had budgeted.
Well, now with the 136 is only 2 months.
On 2 months.
Yeah.
With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
It's gonna get worse, I think.
Could get better.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you very much. Mr. Terpstra.
I have nothing further. Thank you.
All right. Councilman Zuber.
Nothing to report.
Councilmember Stusha.
Nothing to report.
Councilman Euchre.
Nada.
Vice Mayor DeGraff.
Oh, yeah, I've got a few things. Of course I do. Well, it's just compliments to staff and chief and the police department. This weekend has been an example of sort of craziness that's going on in 2020, but the trash and just disregard for our facilities going on by people coming from outside of the community along the river in Stouffer Park. It was unbelievable. So for you guys to go out there and have to enforce that, I apologize and appreciate the work that they do in Public Works for cleaning it up. The amount of trash, the diapers, the feces that were on the street, just pretty unbelievable that people would come into our community and treat our facilities that way when we work so hard to keep it nice. So appreciate the work you guys are doing. Ken, appreciate the presentation tonight on everything that you guys have been working on. Compliments to the council as well for the progress we've made trying to bring business to the city. It's been pretty awesome to see some of the projects that are going on. So thanks to everyone for that. I don't know how many people are online watching tonight, but as always, appreciate you being here. Appreciate your input. You're welcome for the comedy show. Yes, I know you like to laugh at me for that, but we truly do appreciate you paying attention and providing feedback. And with that, I will close it out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And with that, I have nothing to report. So we will go ahead and close this city council meeting for September the 8th. Thank you very much, everybody. That's right.